Pandas for real estate, cleaning and analyzing housing listings. A complete, standalone tutorial will build a messy synthetic listings dataset, clean it properly, then analyze pricing with Pandas. No prior Pandas experience needed. Let's jump straight in. Running the cell now. Before you start, open a new Jupyter notebook in VS Code and select your Python interpreter as the kernel. If Pandas isn't installed yet, open a terminal in VS Code and run pip install pandas. Running the cell now. Once your kernel is selected, you're ready to go. And if this series is useful to you, subscribing now means the next dataset lands in your feed automatically. Let's dive in. Part 1. Building the dataset. Running the cell now. We import Pandas as PD. We also import numpy, which we'll use to generate random listings, including some deliberately messy ones. We print the installed Pandas version to confirm everything works. Running the cell now. This output shows the version of the Pandas library installed, which is 2.3.0. Knowing the version is important when building your dataset, as it ensures compatibility with the features and functions used in the lesson. Always confirm your environment matches or exceeds the version requirements to avoid unexpected errors. We'll simulate 250 home listings across a handful of neighborhoods, complete with a few missing values and price outliers, exactly like real-world data actually looks. Generating synthetic listings. Running the cell now. A seeded random generator, so this dataset is exactly reproducible. We'll generate 250 listings. 5 neighborhood names to draw from. Bedroom counts between 1 and 5. Bathroom counts loosely tied to bedrooms, minus a random 0 or 1, clipped so it never drops below 1. Square footage roughly scaled to bedroom count, plus random noise, so bigger homes tend to have more bedrooms, but not perfectly. A construction year anywhere from 1960 to 2024. Days on market before selling, anywhere from 3 to 179. We print the first 5 square footage values. Running the cell now. This output shows the first 5 synthetic square footage values generated for the listings, reflecting the calculation based on the number of bedrooms plus some random variation. Notice how the SQFT values roughly scale with bedrooms but include noise to simulate real-world variation, aligning with the lesson's goal of creating realistic, varied synthetic data. A base price built from square footage, a small penalty for older homes, and random noise, so the price has a realistic underlying relationship to the other columns. Clip enforces a sensible floor, and round to the nearest 100 keeps prices looking like real listings. We assemble the full listings table from a dictionary. A sequential listing ID. A randomly assigned neighborhood. We print the shape, 250 rows, 8 columns. Running the cell now. The output, 258, indicates the data frame has 250 listings with 8 columns each, matching our intended synthetic dataset size and features. This confirms that the code successfully combined our generated attributes, such as price, size, and location, into a structured listing table, setting the stage for further analysis or modeling. Real listings data is rarely perfectly clean. We'll deliberately blank out some square footage values and inflate a few prices into implausible outliers, so we have something genuine to clean. Injecting missing values and outliers. Running the cell now. We randomly pick 15 rows to blank out in the SQFT column. LOC sets those to NaN, Pandas' missing value marker. We pick 5 different rows entirely and multiply their listing underscore price by 10, simulating a data entry error, like an extra digit typed in by mistake. We save the messy dataset to a CSV file, exactly like a real export from a listings platform. We read it straight back in. Head previews the first 5 rows. Running the cell now. This output shows the first few rows of the listings data frame after injecting missing values in the SQFT column and extreme outliers in listing_price. Notice the presence of some NaN values in SQFT and unusually high prices in a few rows, demonstrating how these injections simulate real-world data imperfections. This sets the stage for learning how to identify and handle missing data and outliers in subsequent steps. Part 2. First look at the data. Running the cell now. Shape confirms 250 rows and 8 columns. ISNA followed by some counts missing values per column, confirming exactly 15 gaps in SQFT and nothing else. Running the cell now. This output shows that the dataset contains 250 listings and 8 columns, giving us a sense of its size and structure. Notably, the SQFT column has 15 missing values, which is important to identify early as it may affect analysis or require data cleaning. This step helps us understand the completeness and dimensions of the data before diving deeper. Describe on listing_price alone shows count, mean, standard deviation, and quartiles. Notice the max is dramatically higher than the 75th percentile, a strong hint that outliers are hiding in there. Running the cell now. This output shows a summary of the listing_price column, giving us key statistics like count, mean, and range. Notice the wide spread between the minimum $80,000 and maximum listing price, over $4 million, indicating some high-value outliers. This helps us understand the distribution and variability in our data as a first step before deeper analysis. Filling missing square footage with the overall average would ignore that neighborhoods differ. Filling with each neighborhood's own median is a better estimate. Part 3. Cleaning the data. Running the cell now. Group B followed by transform computes each neighborhood's median square footage, but returns a result aligned back to every original row, not collapsed into a summary. Fillna then plugs each missing value with that row's own neighborhood median. We confirm 0 missing values remain. Running the cell now. Here, we're filling missing SQFT values with the median square footage of each neighborhood to maintain consistency in our dataset. The output 0 confirms that all missing values have been successfully replaced, ensuring no gaps remain in this key column before further analysis. This step is crucial for cleaning the data and improving the accuracy of our models. The interquartile range, or IQR, is a standard, robust way to define a normal range and flag anything far outside it. Detecting and capping price outliers. Running the cell now. The 25th percentile of prices. The 75th percentile. The interquartile range, the width of that middle 50% of the data. A standard upper bound, the 75th percentile, plus 1.5 times the IQR. Anything above this is considered an outlier. We filter down to just the rows that cross that bound. We print how many outliers we found. This should match the 5 we deliberately inflated. We display them directly, confirming these are indeed the artificially inflated listings. Running the cell now. This output shows that 5 listings have prices identified as outliers, exceeding the calculated upper bound using the IQR method. Notice these outliers vary widely in square footage and come from different neighborhoods, highlighting why capping these extreme prices is important to prevent them from skewing your analysis. This step ensures more robust price insights by focusing on typical listing values. Clip caps every price at that upper bound, pulling the outliers back down to a believable value without deleting those rows entirely. We check the previously outlying rows again, confirming they've been pulled back down to the cap. Running the cell now. Here, the output shows the listing prices of identified outliers after capping, all set to the upper bound of 795,225. This confirms that extreme high prices have been successfully limited to reduce their impact on analysis, illustrating how clipping controls outliers while preserving data shape. The key takeaway is that all outliers now share a uniform cap value, preventing skew from excessively large listings. Raw listing price alone isn't a fair comparison between a tiny apartment and a large house. Price per square foot normalizes for size. Part 4. Price per square foot. Running the cell now. Dividing price by square footage, rounded to 2 decimals, gives a size normalized value for every listing. We preview the new column alongside the values it's calculated from. Running the cell now. Here we calculate a new column, price underscore per underscore SQFT, by dividing the listing price by the square footage, giving a standardized measure of cost. Notice how this new value varies across different neighborhoods and sizes, helping us compare properties more fairly regardless of their total area. This step is crucial for analyzing market value trends on a per-unit basis. Core computes how strongly every pair of numeric columns moves together, from -1, perfectly opposite, to 1, perfectly aligned. We've cleaned real messy data and built a normalized metric now, which is most of what real analysis work actually looks like. If this is helping you, a subscribe helps a lot. Part 5. Correlation Analysis. Running the cell now. We pick just the numeric columns worth comparing. Core computes the full pairwise correlation matrix across all of them. Selecting just the listing underscore price column from that matrix, sorted highest first, shows exactly which factors move most closely with price. SQFT usually leads, as expected. Running the cell now. This output shows the correlation coefficients between listing price and various numeric features in the dataset. Notice that listing price is strongly positively correlated with bedrooms, square footage, and bathrooms, indicating these features increase price, while days on market and year built have little to no correlation. This highlights how correlation analysis helps identify which variables are most related to the target price in Part 5's exploration. Cucut splits a column into groups with roughly equal counts, based purely on rank, rather than fixed dollar boundaries. Part 6. Price tiers and neighborhood summary. Running the cell now. Cucut with Q equals for splits the listings into for roughly equal-sized quartile groups, labeled from budget up to premium. Value underscore counts confirms each tier holds a similar number of listings, since Cucut balances by rank, not by dollar range. Running the cell now. This output shows the number of listings in each price tier after dividing the listings into for equal groups based on price. Notice how the counts are nearly even across budget, mid-range, upper mid, and premium categories, which confirms the Cucut function effectively created balanced price segments. This helps us understand price distribution and sets the stage for analyzing neighborhood trends by price tier. Grouping by neighborhood and calling AG with 4 named outputs. Listings underscore count just counts rows. Average underscore price averages the cleaned listing price. Average underscore price underscore per underscore SQFT averages our normalized metric. And average underscore days underscore on underscore market averages how long homes sat on the market. Rounded and sorted by average price, priciest neighborhood first. We display the full neighborhood by neighborhood report. Running the cell now. This summary table groups listings by neighborhood to highlight key metrics like the number of listings, average price, price per square foot, and average days on market. Notice how Hillcrest has the highest average price and price per square foot, but fewer listings than Oakwood. This helps us understand price tiers across neighborhoods and how market activity varies by location. A scatter plot of size versus price, and a bar chart by neighborhood make the pricing story easy to see at a glance. Part 7. Visualizing the results. Running the cell now. We import matplotlib. Switching to the non-interactive AG backend so charts save cleanly anywhere. Then we import pyplot. A figure and axis. Scatter plots every listing as a single semi-transparent point, size against price, so overlapping points are still visible. A title. An x-axis label. A y-axis label. Tight underscore layout keeps everything readable. We save the chart. We release the figure. We confirm the save. Running the cell now. This scatter plot visualizes the relationship between square footage and listing price to help identify trends in the housing market. Notice how the points spread upwards, indicating that larger homes generally have higher prices, which aligns with our expectation. This visualization confirms the code's intent to explore key factors influencing price through clear, interpretable graphs. Opening the real saved chart directly, confirming it genuinely landed on disk exactly as it looked in the notebook. A new figure and axis for our second chart. We plot average price per neighborhood, already sorted, as a bar chart. A title. A y-axis label. Tight underscore layout keeps everything tidy. We save the chart. We release the figure. We confirm the save. Running the cell now. This confirms the bar chart visualizing the average listing price for each neighborhood was successfully saved as average underscore price underscore by underscore neighborhood.png. The chart helps highlight key differences in pricing trends across neighborhoods, reinforcing the importance of visual summaries when interpreting group data. This step connects the summary statistics to a clear, comparative view that supports data-driven decisions. Opening the real saved chart directly, confirming it genuinely landed on disk exactly as it looked in the notebook. The scatter plot shows the underlying size-to-price relationship across every listing, while the bar chart summarizes it down to one number per neighborhood. Together they cover both the detail and the summary. We covered a lot, so let's recap. Wrap up what you learned. Generating a realistic, deliberately messy synthetic listings dataset, then saving and reloading with to_CSV and read_CSV. Detecting missing values with ISNA, and filling them intelligently with Group B plus transform. Detecting price outliers with the IQR method, and capping them with clip instead of deleting rows. Deriving a normalized metric, price per square foot, and running a full correlation analysis with core. Bucketing with cucut for balanced quartile tiers, and a multi-statistic neighborhood summary. A scatter plot and a bar chart, both presentation ready, with matplotlib. You went from a messy synthetic listings feed to a fully cleaned, analyzed housing report. If you want the next dataset in this series to land in your feed automatically, subscribing is the move. See you in the next one. Running the cell now.